Look who is back in the Big Ten, our old friend Bret Bielema, who led Wisconsin to 3 straight Big Ten titles, back to lead his home state school, the University of Illinois, after spending some time at Arkansas as well as in the NFL, now beginning his first season as a head coach. 83% of the production returning from last year, including 17 returning scholarship seniors from last year. That is the most in Power 5 football. You see some of the key returnees, including quarterback Brandon Peters and tackling machine Jake Hansen. And we are very pleased to have Bret Bielema back with us. Coach, great to see you back in the Big Ten. And let's start here. I mentioned it. You're coaching your home state school.
Yeah.
You didn't play in Illinois. You haven't ever coached in Illinois, and yet I know you're incredibly familiar with it, having grown up in Western Illinois, having been an Illinois fan when you were young. How does that familiarity help you in terms of hitting the ground running?
Obviously I knew when Illinois called my home state, but you really don't know it until you're in it, right? And right away, the familiarity with the geography, right? Just where is Springfield? Where is this city? Where is all these different areas? Everybody knows where Chicago is, right? But it's the part of Illinois that I had no idea what that 18 years of growing up and living in Illinois was going to bring, and that's probably been the biggest game changer for me.
And there's been a lot of talk about the kind of job you're doing recruiting the state of Illinois. You can't take everybody, but what's a fair expectation for a high school coach from your staff, whether they have a player or not? What do they want from you?
Coach, I think that's a question that's going to kind of evolve each year, right? Like on a standard, I would say there's somewhere between 30 to 40 Division I Power 5 football players that come out of the state of Illinois every year. Obviously, I can't sign that many, but I think if the core of what our team is built around Illinois football players, we got a chance. Any great organization I've ever seen or been a part of, that's been the core of what they do, right? And so if we can get, and especially downstate, right? Like I think to focus on the 3 to 4 hour drive around Champaign, that's a big deal, and I think that's what we're trying to do better than anybody.
Seen a lot of pictures of your guys with their shirts off because they've been working out a lot. Tell me how impressed you've been with them this offseason and their conditioning and where they got to this point.
Howard, I was really excited. I thought Lovey had done a great job of just in the building. There were a lot of great people, right? Like I know we didn't maybe have as many wins as everybody wanted, but the part about people and what he represented and what he brought in has been great. They bought in instantly. Tank Wright, our strength coach, was the first guy to really affect them physically. Mm-hmm. I think they began to see, wait a minute, if I do this might happen. And more than anything, not just the time in the weight room, but hey, that next 6 hours that you spend when you leave the room, like what do you eat? What do you drink? Where do you rest? Where do you recover? Who do you live with? Who are you spending time with? Those are the things we kind of brought to their attention.
What are some of the differences scheme-wise, offense, defense, and kick game from the NFL and the college game?
Coach, I would say the reason I hired Tony Peterson and Ryan Walters, there were two guys that I knew about, but I never coached with, right? I've known Tony way back to his time in Minnesota, but he'd been a coordinator in many different spots. I didn't want someone to come in and lay down their playbook and say, this is what Illinois is running. I want to run what Illinois is going to run, right? So nobody knew what players we had. No one knew what our skill sets were. I wanted to come in. So the first 8 weeks, really about the first 5 weeks, we wanted to get a great inventory on who we were. Like, what do we have? What do we build? What can we maximize? And then make the adjustments from there. Same thing defensively. Ryan Walters comes from Missouri, but he's been very diverse in his background, extremely huge, high football IQ, great rapport with our players. I've learned so much from those two guys, but we're trying to build an Illinois system that fits what we do.
How important are those super seniors that you have to building this program to where you need it to be?
I've been saying this a couple times today, right? It's great that we have 40 seniors, but it's also bad we have 40 seniors, right? Because they're all going to be, potentially gone here at the end of the year. 22 super seniors, 17 in on scholarship, but we have a couple of walk-ons that will add great value to us. Then we have 18 normal seniors, so that's 40 seniors. And they're hungry. They're very excited. They're very coachable. But we haven't worked together yet, right? We haven't done it when the bullets are flying. So it's a big month in front of us, and then we'll see where we're at on the 28th.
Bret, what does it say about your staff and what does it say about the message that you conveyed that all these guys chose to come back? I mean, this is a time where obviously anyone can transfer wherever they want to transfer, so maybe it's a little bit different. I mean, you could say that about freshmen and sophomores too, but these are guys with 1 year left.
Yeah.
They've got 1 year left to play. and they said, you know what, I'm going to invest it in this coach, in this program that is rebuilding, and that's where I want to play my final year, rather than I'm going to go and be a free agent and see if I can, not that you won't win the Big Ten, but go somewhere where maybe there's a better chance of winning a conference championship in that last year. What does that tell you?
You know, Dave, it's a great point, and one that I think I had to really do a lot of thinking on the front end. So that first meeting I went into, when I stood in front of the team, I said, listen, I'm the newest family member here, right? I just walked into this room, and a lot of you never heard of me, never talked to me, never spoke to me. I, on the same hand, have never spoke to you, right? I've never listened to your interviews. I've never watched you on tape. I want you to know from this point forward, we're family. And if you want to come back, I'm going to give you that right. And so I think that opened up their eyes. And then the guys that are hitting me today, Doug Kramer and Vidarian Lowe were one of the first two to tell me, Coach, I'm coming back, right? And I think that was an easy thing, O-line and what I've done and what I was going to do. But then Owen Carney, kind of the flip side of it, he's here today. Owen entered the transfer portal after I got there. And I began to call him and recruit him and do things. And that world was really an eye-opener for me. So I'm excited, but I think the thing that we try to preach to our guys is what we're selling is the truth and it's reality. I don't think kids today are different, right? They still want what every kid wants. They want success, and they want to be guided. They want to be motivated, and that's what we try to do.
Coach, last time we saw one of your practices, you were at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was pretty physical.
Yeah.
Okay. And since then, the rules have changed, and you have some NFL experience. So when we come to watch Illinois practice this year, will it look much different than when you were at Wisconsin?
You know what I'm excited for, Coach? That'll be our first day in pads. And I think the one thing the NFL taught me was you don't have to just line up and knock each other around. You can be disciplined in your approach. You can be mechanical in your methodology about how you get things done. We do a lot of tackling drills that don't involve tackling to the ground, things I picked up, because the NFL was driven by the NFLPA, right? Just like the NCAA is driven by doctors. So there's a lot of similar things that I think you just have, as a coach, you can sit around and complain about it. And I think maybe when I was 36, I would have been combative and said, what are we doing? Now at 51, I realize there's always a better way to do things.
How do you know when they're ready? How do you know that guys are ready to tackle and ready to play if they're not doing it?
Yeah, it's a great question, because now the NCAA has allowed us only 2 scrimmages, right? So normally we'd get like maybe 3, sometimes 4. Now you're allowed only 2 scrimmages before that real one. So I think you won't know until it happens, till the bullets are flying. But I think you can have great indicators. One of the greatest indicators why I think we'll have success right now is these 3 young men and several others that are in Champaign and the way they bought in. I've let all my assistant coaches get up and give talks to our team, right? So I've had 10 guys get up in front of the team, and every one of those kids is just sitting there spellbound, listening on every word that those guys are teaching them and preaching them. One thing I took from Coach Belichick, there was such pressure in that building to be the best assistant coach, to have the best positional group. Like, if you get that culture where every coach is trying to be the best coach, now you got something that you can't put a price tag on.
You guys have Nebraska in week 0.
Yeah.
What does it mean to have that spotlight all to yourself?
Dave, to walk in here today, and my last game as a college football coach in the Big Ten was here. We beat Nebraska in the Big Ten championship game. And to walk in today knowing that this is my return to Big Ten media, right, and to know that our opener is against Nebraska, that is all full circle. But now to be the opening game in this college football year at noon on the 28th in Champaign and Memorial, and to be the college football kickoff to the entire football season is special. And it's special for us. It's special for our fans, our alumni, right? All of the people that made this place what it can be are going to have their eyes on Champaign, Illinois, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. The fact that it is a conference game, you open up with it, does that impact camp?
Coach, you spent time in the other league like I did, right? And the thing that jumped out to me right away when I was leaving this league was, at that point we weren't doing these marquee games up front. We were, there was FCS games, there were non-Power 5 games and I always thought, well, that other league is playing some matchup games, marquee games, and it just drew attention to them right away. And then those games at the end of the year weren't spotlighted, right, because they weren't such on the forefront. So I think the Big Ten has made a great decision in scheduling these games. As coaches, I know some don't like. I love it, right, to play against a divisional opponent right out of the gate. It's stress to my guys. So in Big Ten West, the last 5 years has been won by Wisconsin and Northwestern. Wisconsin 3 times, Northwestern twice. Those 5 years, there's been a total of 2 home losses out of those entire sequence of events, right? So if you're going to win the Big Ten West, you have to win at home, all right, in divisional play. So guess what? We're playing at home against Nebraska. You can't do the math any easier for them up front. So I think it's an important thing for our guys to be aware of.
I like this strategy of not naming any other league by name. Right? We all have to.
But they don't
infer.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've coached in the same 2 leagues.
Well, we all understood it. I mean, it wasn't just you that knew what league he was talking about, just because you've coached there. Howard and I follow the sport a little bit.
Right. Yeah. As a fan, I think the opening games being a big-time game
I think it's great.
Huge.
No, it's fabulous, right? And playing each other more is fabulous, and especially once we get to expanding the playoff, right, where there's going to, I think, one loss isn't going to knock you out.
No, well, again, obviously you're defined by your actions of the past, but when I was in this league previously, if you lost one game, it's kind of like you were out of the conversation. The way that it's set up right now is structured. When I was the head coach at Wisconsin, in 7 years, I won at 3, but there was really 5 years, maybe 6, 5 for sure, that we would have been the Big Ten West representative. And I haven't lost an Indy yet, right? So, if you win an Indy, you got a chance that you're in the college football playoffs. Can you imagine the script that would have been written at that if college football existed like then that it is now? Now you're talking about a Big Ten team would have been in that playoff, 3 to 5 times. Right. That could have changed it, you know what I mean? So you can't worry about what's in the past. You can worry about what's in front of us. I think if we expand the playoffs, it's nothing but great.
Well, Bret, we are looking forward to what's in front of us and spending more time with you. Welcome back to the league on behalf of all of us. Really thrilled to have you back.
Appreciate it very much. ILL.
I and I.